Welcome to the Harkness Rose Nursery. This is where all the magic happens. I'm Francesca.
And I'm Philip. Today we're going to be showing you how we propagate roses and how to best look after them in your garden. And this is Maple, who looks after them for us as well. Don't you?
Number one, we'd always say picking the right location in your garden is key. So making sure that there's enough space so it's wide enough and also deep enough for the roots to go down. Secondly, it's about making sure that the ground is ready for your roses. So we always suggest doing a really good mulch in the spring. You can use a well-rotted manure or even the compost you've made in your own compost bin. Thirdly, we always say make sure your rose has got at least, as a minimum, 4 hours of light a day. They prefer more, but they will cope with 4 hours. Another really important thing for roses is pruning. There are 2 times of the year that we do recommend that you prune. The first one being an autumn prune, which tends to be a lighter prune, and it's most important for people that have quite windy or exposed gardens to prevent wind rock. The most important one though is in the spring, and this is what we call a hard prune. So we recommend cutting them down to about here. This just really helps the roses come back good and strong the next year. Another really important thing is disease prevention. Just like human beings, when we get stressed, we're more likely to get ill. So make sure your roses are well watered and well fed. Another way to prevent disease is making sure that you pick a good disease-resistant variety. Another really important thing to do in the summertime when your roses are flowering is making sure you're deadheading throughout the season. It helps the rose put energy into opening up these buds, so you've got lots of beautiful flowers.
One of the things we have been doing is producing our rose plants from cuttings. And traditionally they're grafted in a field, and we're using the cuttings for building up numbers of our new varieties, such as these ones over here. And as you can see from this tray, we've got 24 cuttings in this tray. We've got 24 living plants. The way we do this is it's very simple, but it does require a lot of control. These cuttings were taken about 5 weeks ago, and they're all beautifully rooted, got a nice root ball there, ready for potting on. And the reason we're doing this, as I say, is for speed of building up numbers. And so the cuttings, we take a snip off a plant at this stage just before it flowers, and then we cut off the waste, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cuttings. And very simply, we put them in one of these little plant cells and in good compost, and we leave them there. But it's not quite that simple, because you do have to have the right temperature, the right light regime, the right water regime, the right humidity. If you want to do cuttings in your garden, there's a much easier way. And the best time to do it is late September. You want to get a stem which is nice and ripe and has flowered, and it needs to be at least 20 centimetres, and 30 is plenty. You snip it off at the bottom and you snip it off at the top. You remove the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves, and you'll notice I just pulled those off and I counted to 5, but it's about half the length of the stem. You then take the thorns off, the section where the leaves have come off, and you will apply some rooting hormone. It can be a powder or a gel to the stem, and that's when we need to get a pot and some compost. And you want a compost that drains fairly well, and you have your pot, you fill it up with compost, and you put your cutting in the compost to the level of the lowest leaf, and you do this once. You go back to your plant, you take a second one and a third one, and if you put 3 of them in one pot, the likelihood is that either 1 or 2 will live, and they'll be quite happy. If you just do one, you'll end up with a pot with nothing. And you do this in late September, October. The pot goes outside, And I recommend that you bury it in the garden halfway. It stops it blowing over, it retains moisture, and the cuttings will sit there over winter. And by April, early May, when you lift the pot out of the ground, you'll look and you'll see it's got roots there. The mistake most people make is that when they've seen the roots underneath, they think that's good and they leave it, but it will start shooting. And if you let it shoot from the top, it will continue to shoot from the top and be a spindly plant. Once it's rooted and you start to see a shoot coming, that means that the plant is drawing moisture and food out of the compost. Then cut it back so there are only, 5 centimetres left. That will make it shoot from the base, and it will make the shoot stronger, it will make the plant stronger, and it will make you, the gardener, much happier.
If you have any questions about your roses, why don't you come and find us at one of the RHS shows? Maybe we'll see you there.